Camel's milk. This is a fairly commonly known addition to many dietary plans in the ASD community, but it's actually very useful in terms of rebuilding gut health in general, so therefore can be beneficial in numerous chronic illnesses and autoimmune disorders. When I mention Camel's milk to my clients or anybody that I'm talking to about it at conferences, people tend to get a very disgusted or confused look on their faces. You might have a similar look on your face right now, but there's actually a whole lot of science as to why camel's milk is beneficial on the physiological level. It probably, to a lot of people, sounds counterintuitive for me to be recommending dairy milk from a mammal when a lot of our dietary recommendations revolve around a dairy-free diet for a period of time. But camel's milk is highly beneficial because, number one, it has a completely different form of casein than we find in cow's milk. Casein is the protein in milk that many people react to when their microbiomes aren't fully able to break those proteins down. But camel's milk is actually the exact same form of casein that is found in human breast milk. Before we really delve into the science behind it, just thinking logically about why camel's milk would be so highly nutrient dense and beneficial for the body, I like to think about it in terms of the environment that camels have to survive in. And when they have to feed their young, that milk has to be extremely chock full of nutrition so their young can survive in such a harsh climate like the desert, where food is scarce and water is scarce. So that really makes sense as to why there's such a maximum nutrition benefit to this food and this milk. As we mentioned in many of our videos, camel's milk is beneficial for a lot of kids, but it's not going to be beneficial across the board. So the point of this is not for you to run out and look for camel's milk to give your kid. The types of cases that we see the most benefit with camel's milk are those with significant GI issues, a lot of dysbiosis, which is overgrowth of certain bacteria, overgrowth of yeast. We also see a lot of benefit in those that are low on iron and the iron deficient population. So just looking at the nutrient profile of the milk itself compared to that of traditional cow dairy, camel's milk has 10 times the iron of cow's milk. So that's one reason it's great for any kid that's iron deficient. They're not absorbing the nutrients from their foods properly. Camel's milk also has twice the vitamin C of cow's milk. It has considerably more polyunsaturated fats, which are the healthy form of fats that you want in your diet. It's also loaded with B vitamins and lots of mineral content. So just from a nutrient standpoint, it benefits the body in various ways. In terms of rebuilding the gut lining, camel's milk is highly effective in this regard. This is because of certain proteins, including lactoferrin, that actually help to restructure the intestinal mucosa. And that's basically if you've heard of leaky gut syndrome, or you've been diagnosed with this syndrome, or your kid's been diagnosed with it, that translates to a compromised intestinal barrier. So camel's milk will actually restructure that mucosa and keep things inside the gut that are supposed to stay inside the gut. Camel's milk has antimicrobial, antifungal, and antiparasitic properties, which is another reason it's so beneficial for overall gut health and digestion. But the coolest part about camel's milk, and my favorite bit of information about it, is that when compared to human breast milk, which we know is loaded with antibodies, very good for the immune systems of nursing babies, camel's milk has twice the amount of antibodies than human breast milk. What's even more impressive is these antibodies are 1/10 of the size of typical antibodies. So they are actually referred to as nanobodies. Because these nanobodies are so small, they can penetrate deep into the body and get to areas where pathogens lie deep within the muscle tissue that normal antibodies cannot get to. Because of their small size, they can also cross the blood-brain barrier and actually address pathogens that are present in the brain. This is another reason why it's so beneficial for the ASD community and anybody with an ASD diagnosis and the potentially associated neuroinflammation that often coexists with that condition. So those are the main scientific reasons why camel's milk is beneficial. When you understand why, it makes a lot more sense as to why you might want to consider this for yourself or your child. As always, if you have any questions, insights, you just want to learn more about any of the videos we share, get in contact with us and we'd be happy to help however we can.